Welcome to the Crochet Crowd. So it's my friends over at yarnspirations.com. Today I'm going to do a hook review. One of the things that is unique about me is that I've never been sponsored by anybody that is a hook implement company. So in actual fact just makes the implements itself. So it's allowed me to always stay in generic brands. You notice that I never say the brand of the hook online because it's usually just a generic with a no name. So it's one of those items that really kind of prompted me to be able to just kind of crochet with what I want to crochet instead of actually just demonstrating with something that I would not use. So I actually have a preference in hooks, and today is a hook review based on my own preferences, so you may have a change of heart. I had a recent situation, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my situation that I had, and then we're going to come back here and we're going to talk about the different kinds of hooks and what you could be looking for. So on the filming table is 3 hooks, and do you see the shine on this thing right up here? And I've already rubbed some of it down off the handle. When I'm not using these hooks seem to be condensating or leaking some kind of something out of these hooks, and it's absolutely the most grossest thing. So if you've ever really looked at the filming table, you will see like almost like wet spots or grease spots. It's these hooks that are literally kind of disintegrating. So to me, I have to get rid of these hooks. So I've got just a protective piece of paper. You can see that the paper is starting to stain, and it's these hooks that are doing that. So what prompted me then is to buy new sets of hooks and look at different places other than where I've been buying them in the past, and you can see that it's absolutely just gross. So once it's on my hands, it literally goes everywhere. So basically these hooks are considered garbage to my point of view because I don't know what that is, and that's something that we can look at different. So here on the table is an assortment of items. So I bought some new hooks. So I got this one, the sets of these, and then these. I can honestly tell you that I already do not like these. I put it into my hand and I said no. It's like if people that wear glasses, you try on a pair and you know instantly that it's not gonna work for your face. It's one of those items. So I automatically know that I do not like these here. This is part of a set, and I'll show you more about that. One thing that is the most critical point for me is that when a hook is lacking that thumb grip. If there's no thumb grip, I can't watch television, because the fact is that when you go to crochet and your thumb automatically goes into the spot, you can look away because no matter how you rotate it, your thumb always finds the flat spot. So any kind of hook without any kind of thumb grip is a definite no-go for me. So this hook that I have, it's great for the larger yarns. I will use it if I have to, but I will not use it if I don't have to. So there's different sizes of that. So that means that this hook also is automatically out. The thing about this hook, and I've gotten several of these over the years, is that see how that this is a separate piece here? This on other hooks can snag at this point. So when the yarn is going to slide, it snags. So what the other thing that I'm going to look for in a hook is to make sure that the head to the throat to the shaft is a seamless line. So if I go with my fingernail, see, it just automatically catches. So if my fingernail is going to catch, so is the yarn. So that hook is out. This hook here is bamboo. So I remember back in the beginning days, you know, when dinosaurs were still around, is that bamboo was here, and then they had the resin that had that had the thumb grip as well, and then the ergonomics started to come. And when that came out to be, some of you probably remember the controversy of like being a $10 hook versus a few dollars. Like the hook must be made of gold. Remember that? It's actually kind of ridiculous in hindsight. So these kind of hooks I didn't mind actually. I like the bamboo. They're stronger than you can imagine, and it's something that I can work with. And I'm also looking for something else in the hook, and I'm looking to where the hook comes out in my hand. Now I have a larger hand. Some people think my fingers are like sausages, which is fine. I can totally understand that. But what I am looking for as a male crocheter, that the hook can extend beyond this. So I did have a company, a big company actually, they had some writing that was engraved, and the writing was popping out at this point here, and because I rotate my hook a lot, it was actually causing a blister on the back. So I contacted the company just to let them know, not a complaint, just to let them know that their raised up information of the hook size is actually causing me to have a blister. So you know, they don't know unless you share that. So this one is actually a great hook. It's you know, it's bamboo. So if I don't have an ergonomic and I have a need for this, this is definitely one that will work for me. Okay, so I already told you that I do not like these. So why don't I like these? And I want to look here. Look, I just bought this. Literally, do you see it? It is already split down the middle of this. Cheap. So anyway, but I don't like it not for that reason. I don't like it because of the back end here. See how narrow this thing is in the back? So when I'm going to do it, I have to literally close my hand more in order to keep the back of this stable. The only thing stable in this video is the hooks. The host is another question. So because I've been crocheting over the years, I like the back end of the hook to be a bit thicker so that when I close my pinky to stabilize the hook, that I don't have to close my pinky that far. Again, a personal preference. So these here I won't use, and because I cannot really grab onto it and I really have to pull my hand down, I know instantly that I'm gonna have probably a blister from the back of the hook right here. And also the flashing from the material here is also raised, so that is gonna catch onto my skin too. So sandpaper may work, but the splitting here, not gonna work. So I feel like these are really light as well, so I want a little bit of substance in my hand, and so these are gonna be a no-go for me. So I might have to throw these in a giveaway. But this one right here, you know, it's already damaged. Let's see what the hook actually looks like. Oh my god, what a cheap piece of you would think if it was split it would be all the way down the shaft, so maybe that's why I don't like it, because the shaft is short. And to see how easy that fell out, honey, get your Amours out. That's not gonna work. So if that hook is like that, that means that the rest of these hooks are probably like that as well. And should I do it? What size is this? 3mm. I don't use a 3mm. Okay, well at least that's stable. So okay, so this one here is garbage, and the split here, if I use that with the split, I'm gonna end up with probably blisters on my thumb. So that's too bad, so sad. This was really cheap, available online, and I got exactly what I paid for. So let's get the dirty hooks off the table first. So these are generics. They're available by the stores. There's no brand on it. It's like a store brand. Look at the filth on that hook. I just threw out a whack of these hooks. These hooks, do you see how the back end is bulged like that? That's my own doing. When I bought these, and these are generics from the store, this hook kept falling out of the shaft. So what I did is that I put in hot glue, and I shoved my shaft all the way down into the hole, and it caused the glue to bulge at the bottom. So I ended up with a bulge. This on this hook, I cannot get this off. So the more I use it, the more grosser they get. And so just on the visual sense, even though I can rub it with the soap and whatever, it's just not coming off. So I find that different rubbers act different ways with the oils of your skin. And so chances are this is probably oil from my skin that has been trapped inside this, and good luck Chuck being able to get that out. So if my hook is not stable in the handle itself and it starts to rotate in a weird direction, the hook is a no-go for me. So my hooks generally can be very dirty like this. Let me, if you really look at these, you can kind of see the difference of the coloring on these hooks. And so it's basically the oils in your hands that kind of go in, and some rubber you can get that off, and then other rubbers like this one, I don't know. So this one is a no-go and for the garbage for me. So let's take a look at this hook here. It's a generic kind of hook. I don't even know where I got it. But do you see how this has been indentated in? This is a sharp edge right here and on the back here. So I have tried using this just for a little bit, and I find that the sharpness of the edge gives myself, oh my god, I'm sounding like a pansy pants, but it actually causes the thumb to actually have like a hurting sensation from the sharpness of it. There's also raised writing in the thumb itself, and because it has that, that's a no-go for me. I find any kind of raised numbering in there, they say it's like, you know, gripping or whatever. Whatever. I don't believe that. It probably is true, but what this is that that kind of numbering on there also gives my sensitive thumb a little bit of a problem. Okay, maybe I am a bit pansy pants. So I try to look for hooks that do not have any kind of writing or any kind of inscription here, so that my thumb stays nice and flat. So it's not a bad hook in the sense that it's got the right dimensions. I feel like I can hold it properly, but the sharpness here and here, and the raised writing, and the very blunt tip. So let's talk about the tip. You know you want to. So let's talk tips. I like my tip to be a little bit more pointy. This is a little too blunt for me. I have a hard time squeezing my hook into the stitches. when I'm playing with it. So I like my head to be a little bit more pointier so that I can at least try to think about getting it into the stitches. So if it's too blunt, it's like trying to push something through a hole that just doesn't want to go. So it needs to have a little bit of more of a sense of direction. So maybe this hook, maybe not so much. This one's out. So let's take a look at the Boye hooks here, and Boye is actually a pretty good brand. What I find with the larger hooks is sometimes the interior of the shaft can rotate inside the casing. So you notice that the point of this is, I don't know if I can get the right angle, but if you notice it, the point is not lined up properly. So I find this particular hook itself is that the interior of this is rotating away from the center piece right here. So this hook, I really like these ones for the 6.5, is that it's a good grip, but it's also very stable inside the casing. So sometimes on these larger hooks the interior can actually rotate, and so it can rotate out of alignment. So when you go to crochet and you're looking at TV, it's all about TV, right? Is that it's hard to do that if the hook is not at the orientation that you're expecting. So if you want to crochet faster, you have to be able to trust the hook, so the hook has to be stable. So the only way I can fix that is to try to rotate this back into alignment, but because I know that it's moving, chances are just a little bit of crochet, especially with this particular hook, this will continue to go out of alignment as I'm crocheting along. So you see, it just continues to turn. So that's something that you have to keep that in mind as well. So I generally like Boye, so that's just something that I would have to consider if this was my hook of choice for the evening. So here is another generic from the store, and you noticing the back of it? This thing rubbed out so quickly it was hard to believe, and so I actually bought a few of these from the store, and it's their own private label, and the back of the hook literally wears out like an eraser. And so it's just catching on the back of my hand as I'm going, so it's just like rubbing off each and every time. So as I told you, the length of the hook matters to me. So if there was any kind of imperfection on this actual the hook itself on the interior, it would be cutting my hand. So you know, I can still use this hook, it's fine, but it's one of those items that I know that that the rubber is going to wear away like an eraser. So that's just something that I've had issues with. So that's when I'm not going to throw this one out. I do like this hook, and this is something that does happen with some of the generics. But the purpose of these hooks is that the tip of the hook is actually a lot more narrow. So especially this one, you see how it tapers down. So these hooks are really quite perfect because you can find steel hooks that are just literally that size there, and trying to hold that at the same time while trying to do the finicky thread work is like a nightmare, well, at least for me. So I really liked how Boye here and this generic brand has a thicker ergonomics so that I can hang on to these smaller more narrow hooks, and so this one is a winner for me. So that's a winner, baby. So let's go back down to the table. So in the larger formats, I really do like Clover Amour hooks, and so you can see this is one I normally use, and so I really like these. These are one of my favorites of them all in the larger size, and I like the length of it. It fits into my hand properly, and I also like that it's resin. Now you were thinking to yourself, oh, it's gonna break and whatever. It won't. It's one of those items that it's nice and light. So just because I had that really clod hopping hook before, I can literally have very light work. Your hook weight matters in the long term, because if it's too heavy, your hand and your wrist and your elbow will get exhausted from the motion of crochet. So the lighter the hook, the better. And so that's just one of those items. So I find that these work out really quite well. I find they stay clean for whatever reason. So the plastic is obviously, or the rubber is slightly different from the other stuff that I showed you. And so the Clover Amour probably are my favorite of them all. And though it has some raised writing in the back of it here, it does not interfere with my hand. So that's just a winner chicken dinner. So those Clover Amours, yeah, hands down, great every time. So then there's this hook. This is part of that one that is bleeding the oil stuff or whatever it is. This one hasn't started doing that, so I haven't really used this hook much. So they start off really quite nice, and then I find they wear down pretty quick as far as like the way that they shine. So this is the same family. So you've seen this hook several times in the tutorials. They do get dirty. I have a hard time cleaning them, but I just have a hard time getting all the crap off, but that's just whatever, right? So they start off as more of abrasive, a rubber feel, but just after a bit of use they shine up like this as your hand is probably polishing it as you go. So let's go back down to the table. So the black hooks are part of the same set, and I want to show you something. I got exactly what I paid for with these. I really like the length of these, okay, and I like the gold, I like the black, so if I do got that oil coming off my hands, I find the rubber is more sticky, or like is more catching onto my skin, so I'm gonna have a lot more control with this particular hook. But when I pulled it out of the package, I literally just bought this hook. The back of the hook appears to have already damaged the handle. So this is how it was shipped to me. So I'm thinking, why is the back end of this hook kind of worn like that? And I realized that this has been damaged as it's been going in. We paid 20 bucks for the set. So you know, so there's some sets that are literally worth the money, and then other sets like this that I got exactly what I paid for. So I got the entire set, and it came in just like that, and so not bad. And I actually do like these hooks, but this here is going to be a no-go for me, and because it's misshaped at the back here, I'm not going to be able to use this without interfering with the back of my hand. I know, what a princess. So this one here is already garbage, even though I'm not even going to use it. Let me just see if I can pull it out, because I might be able to pull it out. Oh yeah, see, it's just sliding off. So you can see some of these casings are actually kind of easier to get off than others. Okay, so if I pull this out, oh, it is labeled. So let's see what this hook actually looks like. So this hook is actually there. This is supposed to be what locks it in from being able to twist and turn. So I can technically use this. So the rubber is kind of out, so I'll throw that out. I'll keep the hook just for safekeeping, you know, safe spot. Not like I got enough. So those are what I've experienced with that. So let's go back down to the red one. What I have is the red hook. So I bought it, the color actually it kind of attracted me online when I looked at it. They were not the cheapest hooks by any stretch, and I feel like I paid for what I wanted for these hooks. So these hooks are a little more I'm not gonna say expensive, they were just more money than the other hooks that I bought. And I find that the rubber feels really good on my hands. I like the writing, how it's big. That probably will wear off, but I'm okay with that. But I really like thumb grip, and this reminds me a lot of the Tulip hooks from back in the day. And the back of the hook is actually thicker than the other hooks that I did not like that were more narrow. So I find that this hook is gonna be good for me. Now some crocheters like to crochet like this. They'd probably get away with that too. And this came as a set, so I have them all available in red. So I don't even know the brand of this hook. I just bought it based on the color, and this is something that every hook is not the same. Finally, this is a Tunisian hook, and the Tunisian here has no orientation, so I kind of struggle with my Tunisian because it is lacking that thumb grip, but then the thumb grip would interfere with the Tunisian if you were to do it. If I was to recommend a Tunisian hook, I'd recommend bamboo as an option other than the steel. The steel is a lot more heavier, and when you go to use these kind of ideas is that the weight of these hooks can actually wear down on your hand, on your arms and your wrists and etc. So what I like to do is that I try to use bamboo, and there's ones where the hooks are much more smaller and therefore has a wire attached to it, so you're not having to hold so much weight. And so let me show you one of those. So this is a Tunisian hook that I got from Jimmy Bean's Wool, and these have an extension applied to it. So these hooks are not as long as the regular Tunisians that you would see. Okay, so they're a lot more narrow, therefore they're a lot lighter. Hands down, these are not like in the bargain bin category as far as like hooks. They're really well formed, really well polished and glazed. And I find with myself, if I'm going to do Tunisian, that this would be the hook with the extension to it. The nice thing about it is that once the loops go to this extension, you're gonna find that it's gonna be quite easy to work with, and then this can fall down onto your lap, taking the weight off some of that hook for you. So it's one of those really nice things. I find with the Tunisian hooks you get exactly what you pay for. So the cheaper that you go, you may not even have a problem with it, but I have found that the cheaper that I go, my enjoyment of Tunisian is a little bit compromised as a result. And so this weighs hardly anything compared to a hook in metal of the same size. This like you can just hear the difference, like the weight difference is quite substantial. So what I would be looking for is to make sure the tip is gonna match my wishes, which it does, and it's nicely formed, and it actually feels quite nice. The glaze on here that is applied does actually stick to my hand a bit, so that I can actually have some control, where if it's too polished and you're having trouble hanging on to it, that becomes an issue. So this is something that you could find at Jimmy Bean's Wool if you're ever looking for it. This is a stopper to prevent the work from coming off the wire on the other side. So it's a really neat idea, and these are the different types of hooks. So whether you have big hooks or other kinds of hooks with different things, this hook I have a hard time using. And the reason for this particular hook is that the point is too long. Is there such thing? Absolutely. I find with myself when I'm going to crochet with this, because I'm used to the throat being closer to the edge of the tip. Do you see the difference? So what happens here is this point, when I go to crochet, just literally jabs into my finger. I know, princess mode again today, but I find that the tip is so long on here, but you almost need that tip in order to get into those thick stitches, right? Just stick it in. But the fact is that this distance has you overcompensating in order to not hurt yourself with this. So can you hurt yourself with a hook? Probably so. So this is one of those items that you are kind of looking for, that not every hook is equal. I like the shape of this. I like the feel. I just do not like the tip on this one. So that one's a no go. I did buy it. I'm not throwing it out. It's like a collector's edition, and that's something that you can think about. And finally, the last crochet hook. Oh wait a minute, these are knitting needles. Never mind. So in the end, love what you do what you love. Did you notice there was no polymer? I'm not a fan of the polymer hooks. I know people love those hooks. I'm just not a fan of it. Again, it just comes down to being able to be convenient to jump from one hook to another. Being who I am, I tend to not use the same hook. So this hook that I'm using, a 5mm, is my studio hook, but then I have a hook where I watch television. So I'm always jumping around different hooks. That's just because that's, you know, being a princess. But anyway, so you know, it doesn't matter which hooks that you really love. Some people like literally want to fight online about it, which I don't get. But you know, you gotta choose a hook that matches your style and your personal taste. And once you find your hook, you know what, you're set for life. Well, until the next best thing comes along. Have a good day, and we hope to see you again real soon. Bye bye.